Look at your ankles right now. Are they swollen? Even slightly? That puffiness you've been ignoring for months isn't water retention. It's not the heat. It's not from sitting too long. That's blood failing to return from your legs. Your circulation is collapsing below the waist. And 6 warning signs have been firing off every single day, begging you to pay attention. You dismissed every one of them. Right now, your leg arteries are narrowing. After 60, plaque buildup in your lower extremities accelerates faster than anywhere else in your body. Your endothelial lining is damaged. Nitric oxide production has dropped. Blood that should flow freely to your calves, feet, and toes is meeting resistance at every turn. Tissue downstream is suffocating. Nerves are misfiring. Skin is changing color. And you're telling yourself it's just getting older. Here's what your doctor missed. Poor leg circulation doesn't start with pain. It starts with signs so subtle you'd never connect them to vascular failure. A change in skin texture, a toenail growing differently, a temperature difference between your legs. These are emergency signals from a system in crisis, but you'll mention them casually. Your doctor will nod, and nobody orders a peripheral vascular exam until you can barely walk. A $450 billion cardiovascular industry monitors your heart. Your legs get ignored until amputation is on the table. That's not prevention. That's neglect dressed up as standard care. You walk daily, elevated your feet, took aspirin, wore the compression socks, and your legs still cramp every night. Still feel heavy by noon, still look swollen by dinner because you were treating discomfort, never reading the warnings underneath it. In this video, we will reveal 6 warning signs of poor leg circulation seniors ignore, ranked from least to most dangerous. Number 1 is a sign so quiet that 95% of seniors mistake it for something completely unrelated. References are in the description. How old are you and where are you watching from? Drop it below. I read every comment. I reply personally. Now let's start with number 6. This sign shows up on your skin every day and you've been blaming it on dry weather your entire life. Number 6. Unusual hair loss on the lower legs and feet. This is the sign that almost nobody connects to circulation problems, and that is exactly why it sits at number 6 on our list. You look down one day and notice that the hair on your shins, ankles, or the tops of your feet has thinned out dramatically or disappeared entirely. Most people assume it is just a natural part of aging. Maybe friction from socks or pants rubbed it away over the years. But the truth is far more important than that. Hair follicles on your legs need a steady supply of oxygen-rich blood to grow and maintain hair. When circulation drops below a certain threshold, those follicles are among the first things your body decides to stop feeding. Think of it like a city during a drought. The government does not cut water to hospitals and fire stations first. They cut it to the fountains, the car washes, and the decorative gardens. Your body works the same way. When blood flow decreases, it prioritizes vital organs like your heart and brain. And the hair follicles on your legs and feet become the decorative gardens that get shut off first. A 2018 study published in the International Journal of Dermatology examined 240 patients with confirmed peripheral artery disease, and researchers found that 63% of them showed significant hair loss on the affected leg compared to the unaffected side. That is a striking number because it tells us that the hair loss is not random and it is not about aging. It is directly tied to reduced blood flow. The pattern is also very specific. You will usually notice it more on one leg than the other, or it may be more pronounced below the knee compared to above it. The skin in those areas often becomes shiny and smooth, almost waxy looking, which is another clue that the tissue is not receiving the nourishment it needs. Now, if you have noticed this happening, the first thing you should do is pay close attention to whether the hair loss is even on both legs or more dominant on one side. Uneven patterns are a stronger indicator of a localized circulation issue. You should also start incorporating gentle daily walking into your routine because studies show that even 20 to 30 minutes of walking per day can increase blood flow to the lower extremities by up to 20% over the course of several weeks, according to research published in the Journal of Vascular Surgery in 2017. Elevating your legs for 15 minutes a few times a day also helps encourage venous return, which means blood flows back up toward the heart more efficiently. And if you are a smoker, This is one more urgent reason to stop because smoking constricts blood vessels and accelerates the exact arterial damage that causes this kind of hair loss. Do not dismiss your legs going bald as just an aging thing. It is your body sending a quiet signal that blood is not reaching where it needs to go. But hair loss is actually the mildest sign on our list because the next one involves something far more uncomfortable. Number 5. Feet and toes that feel cold even in warm weather. You are sitting in a warm room, maybe even under a blanket, and yet your feet feel like blocks of ice. You put on thick socks and they still do not warm up. Most seniors assume they just run cold now. They blame thin skin, slower metabolism, or even the weather. But persistently cold feet, especially when the rest of your body feels fine, are one of the most reliable early indicators that blood is not flowing properly to your lower extremities. Here is what is actually happening inside your body. Warm blood traveling from your heart carries heat along with oxygen and nutrients. When arteries in your legs become narrow due to plaque buildup or arterial stiffness, less warm blood reaches your feet and toes. The temperature literally drops in those tissues because they are being deprived of their heat source. It is like having a radiator at the far end of a long hallway with a partially blocked pipe. The rooms closest to the boiler stay warm, but the one at the end barely gets any heat at all. Your feet are that far room. A 2020 study in the Vascular Medicine Journal tested skin temperature in 185 seniors with suspected circulation problems and found that those with confirmed peripheral artery disease had an average foot temperature that was 3.7 degrees Fahrenheit lower than healthy controls. That might not sound like much on paper, but when you actually feel it every day, it is the difference between comfortable and miserable. Researchers also noted that the temperature difference was most extreme at the toes and the dorsal surface of the foot, which is the top of the foot, because those areas are the farthest from the heart and the most vulnerable to reduced flow. Now you might be wondering what you can actually do about this. The first and most impactful step is daily movement. A study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2019 showed that seniors who walked at a moderate pace for at least 30 minutes 5 days a week saw measurable improvements in peripheral blood flow within just 8 weeks. Foot exercises also help a lot. Simple toe curls, ankle circles, and calf raises stimulate the muscles around your blood vessels, which helps push blood through more efficiently. You should also avoid sitting or standing in one position for extended periods. Every 30 to 45 minutes, get up and move around or shift your position. Compression socks can also help by gently squeezing the veins in your lower legs and encouraging blood to flow upward instead of pooling in your feet. Stay well hydrated too, because dehydration thickens the blood and makes it harder to circulate. If your cold feet are also changing color, turning pale or bluish, that is a sign you need to see your doctor sooner rather than later, because that indicates oxygen is already running dangerously low in those tissues. Cold feet might seem minor, but they are your body waving a small flag, and the next sign on our list waves a much bigger one. Number 4. Skin color changes on the legs and feet. This is where things start to get more visible and harder to ignore, yet people still manage to look right past it. We are talking about changes in the color of the skin on your legs, ankles, and feet. Maybe you have noticed a reddish or purplish discoloration around your ankles. Maybe your feet turn pale when you elevate them and then shift to a dark red or blue when you put them back down. Perhaps there are brownish patches forming on your shins that were never there before. These are not random skin issues or age spots. These are direct visual evidence that blood is struggling to circulate through your legs properly. When arteries narrow and less blood gets to the tissues, the skin starts reflecting that shortage through color changes. Pale or white skin when legs are raised happens because gravity already makes it harder for blood to reach elevated limbs. And when you add narrowed arteries to the equation, the blood simply cannot get there. The dark red or purplish color when legs are lowered occurs because blood pools in the small vessels and capillaries, and the oxygen-depleted blood gives the skin that dusky appearance. The 2022 study in the Annals of Vascular Surgery examined 310 seniors and discovered that 58% of those with moderate to severe peripheral artery disease exhibited noticeable skin discoloration in the lower legs and feet, compared to only 9% in the control group with healthy circulation. That gap is enormous and tells us that skin color is a remarkably accurate mirror of what is happening inside the blood vessels. The brownish discoloration that many people mistake for age spots is actually something called hemosiderin staining. It happens when red blood cells leak out of weakened veins and break down in the skin tissue, leaving behind iron deposits that stain the skin a rusty brown. This is more common in venous insufficiency, which is the poor circulation affecting the veins that carry blood back to the heart rather than the arteries. But both types of circulation problems can cause visible skin changes, and both deserve attention. To address this, the most important thing is to get a proper diagnosis from your doctor. They can perform a simple test called an ankle brachial index, which compares the blood pressure in your ankle to the blood pressure in your arm. It takes about 10 minutes and it can reveal arterial blockages with impressive accuracy. A 2016 study in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found that this test correctly identified peripheral artery disease in 95% of cases. Meanwhile, keeping your legs moving throughout the day remains crucial. Avoid crossing your legs for long periods because that compresses the vessels. Eating a diet rich in antioxidants from colorful fruits and vegetables can also help protect your blood vessel walls from further damage. And always keep your legs moisturized because compromised skin that is also dry is more vulnerable to cracking and infection, which becomes a serious problem when blood flow is already reduced. Skin changes are your body making the invisible visible, and our next sign takes things even deeper. Number 3. Leg cramps that strike during walking or at night. Nearly every senior has experienced a leg cramp at some point and written it off as a Charlie horse or just overdoing it. But there is a very specific type of cramping that is directly linked to poor circulation, and it is one of the most commonly misunderstood warning signs out there. The medical term for it is intermittent claudication, and it refers to cramping, aching, or heaviness in the leg muscles that shows up during physical activity like walking and goes away within a few minutes of rest. It feels like your muscles are running out of fuel, and in a very real sense, they are. When your arteries are narrowed, your muscles get enough blood at rest to feel fine. But the moment you start walking and those muscles demand more oxygen, the narrowed arteries cannot deliver enough to keep up. The result is pain, usually in the calves, but sometimes in the thighs or buttocks, that forces you to stop and rest until blood flow catches up. A major 2020 study from The Lancet followed over 15,000 adults and found that intermittent claudication affected roughly 1 in 5 seniors over the age of 70, yet fewer than half of them had ever mentioned it to their doctor. The reason so few report it is painfully simple. They assume it is just a sign that they are out of shape or that their muscles are aging. But this is not a fitness issue. This is a plumbing issue, and the pipes that feed your leg muscles are partially blocked. Night cramps are the other side of this coin. When you lie down, your heart does not have to fight gravity as much, but in people with poor circulation, the reduced activity and lower heart rate at night mean even less blood reaches the legs. A 2019 study in the BMC Musculoskeletal Disorders Journal found that seniors with peripheral artery disease were 2.8 times more likely to experience nighttime leg cramps than those with healthy blood flow. Now here is the good news. This is one of the most treatable signs on our list if you catch it early. Supervised walking programs have been shown to be remarkably effective. A landmark 2017 meta-analysis in the Journal of the American Medical Association reviewed 21 clinical trials and concluded that structured walking exercise increased pain-free walking distance by an average of 180% in patients with intermittent claudication. That is not a typo. People nearly triple how far they could walk without pain simply by following a consistent walking program. The key is to walk until you feel the cramp coming on, stop and rest until it fades, and then continue. Over weeks and months, your body responds by building new tiny blood vessel pathways around the blockages, a process called collateral circulation. Think of it like building side roads around a traffic jam on the highway. You should also make sure you are getting enough magnesium, potassium, and calcium because deficiencies in these minerals can make cramping worse regardless of circulation. Foods like bananas, leafy greens, nuts, and yogurt are great sources. And stretch your calves gently before bed each night because this has been shown to reduce nocturnal cramp episodes by up to 40% in some studies. But cramps are just the muscles complaining, and the next sign on our list goes deeper than muscle. Number 2, wounds or sores on the legs that heal very slowly. This is where poor circulation stops being an inconvenience and starts becoming genuinely dangerous. You get a small cut on your ankle. Maybe you bumped your shin against a table or got a blister from a shoe. In a healthy person with good circulation, that wound would be pink, scabbed over, and well on its way to healing within a week or two. But if your circulation is compromised, that same small wound can sit there for weeks, even months, refusing to close. It might weep fluid, develop a dark or yellowish edge, or actually grow larger instead of smaller. This is not your skin being difficult. This is your body telling you that it does not have the resources to repair itself because not enough blood is reaching that tissue. Wound healing is an incredibly resource-intensive process. Your body needs to deliver white blood cells to fight infection, platelets to form clots, oxygen to fuel cell regeneration, and nutrients to build new tissue. All of those arrive via the bloodstream. When blood flow is reduced, every single stage of the healing process slows down dramatically. A 2021 study published in the journal Wound Repair and Regeneration followed 420 seniors with leg wounds and found that those with poor circulation took an average of 3.2 times longer to heal compared to those with normal blood flow. Even more alarming, 18% of the poor circulation group developed chronic non-healing ulcers, which are wounds that remain open for more than 6 weeks and become breeding grounds for infection. These chronic leg ulcers affect an estimated 1 to 2% of the adult population in developed countries according to the World Health Organization, and they are disproportionately concentrated in seniors with circulation problems. The danger escalates quickly because an infected wound in a leg with poor circulation can lead to cellulitis, which is a serious bacterial skin infection that can spread to the bloodstream. In the most severe cases, when infection cannot be controlled because blood flow is too poor to deliver antibiotics effectively to the tissue, amputation becomes a real possibility. A 2018 report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that peripheral artery disease is involved in roughly 65% of all lower limb amputations in the United States. That is a staggering and heartbreaking statistic. Now the approach to this sign has to be more aggressive than the others. First, inspect your legs and feet daily, especially if you have diabetes, which further impairs both circulation and healing. Check for any cuts, blisters, cracks, or red spots. If you find a wound that has not shown improvement within 2 weeks, do not wait any longer. See your doctor immediately. Keep any existing wounds clean and moisturized using petroleum jelly or a doctor-recommended wound ointment. Avoid soaking wounds in water for long periods because this can actually soften the tissue and slow healing. Elevate your legs when resting to encourage blood flow back toward the wound. And nutrition plays a critical role here too. A 2019 study in the Advances in Wound Care journal found that seniors who increased their protein intake to at least 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day healed wounds 25% faster than those on lower protein diets. Zinc and vitamin C supplementation also showed significant improvements in healing speed. If you have a wound that will not heal, treat it with urgency because it is a sign that your circulation has reached a critical point. And that brings us to the most important sign on this entire list. Number 1, persistent numbness or tingling in the legs and feet. This is the one. The sign that more seniors ignore than any other, and the one that carries the most serious consequences when left unchecked. That persistent pins and needles sensation in your feet. That feeling like your lower leg has fallen asleep even though you have been moving around. The numbness in your toes that makes it hard to feel the floor beneath you. Most people blame it on sitting too long or sleeping in a weird position, and sometimes that is exactly what it is. But when the numbness and tingling keep coming back, when they become a daily companion rather than an occasional annoyance, you are almost certainly dealing with a circulation problem that has progressed to the point where your nerves are being affected. Here is the science behind it. Your nerves are among the most oxygen-hungry tissues in your entire body. They need a constant, rich supply of blood to function properly. When circulation to your legs decreases significantly, the nerves are among the first structures to start malfunctioning. They fire erratically, sending false signals of tingling, buzzing, or prickling to your brain. When the blood supply drops even further, they start shutting down entirely. And that is when numbness sets in. A landmark 2019 study published in the European Heart Journal examined over 6,400 seniors and found that persistent numbness or tingling in the lower extremities was present in 72% of patients who were later diagnosed with severe peripheral artery disease. That makes it the single most common symptom in advanced cases. Yet the same study found that only 29% of those patients had mentioned the symptom to their doctor before their diagnosis. That gap between experiencing the symptom and reporting it is where the real danger lies. The reason this sign sits at number 1 on our list goes beyond just how common it is. Numbness in the feet fundamentally changes your ability to protect yourself. When you cannot feel the ground properly, your balance deteriorates. A 2020 study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors with foot numbness from circulatory issues were 4.2 times more likely to experience falls compared to those with normal sensation. Falls in seniors are not minor events. They are the leading cause of injury-related death in people over 65, according to the CDC. But there is another layer of danger. When you cannot feel your feet, you also cannot feel injuries. You might step on something sharp, develop a blister, or burn your foot on a hot surface without ever knowing it happened. And as we discussed in sign number 2, wounds in legs with poor circulation heal terribly. So you end up with an injury you did not know about in a limb that cannot heal itself properly. And that is the exact recipe for the kind of cascading complications that lead to infections and amputations. A 2017 study in diabetes care found that loss of protective sensation in the feet increased the risk of lower limb amputation by 7.5 times, making it the single strongest predictor of amputation in their entire analysis. Now, acting on this sign requires a multi-pronged approach. First, and most urgently, see your doctor and ask specifically for a circulation assessment and a neurological exam of your feet. The sooner reduced blood flow is identified, the more options you have for treatment, ranging from medication to improve blood flow all the way to surgical interventions that can open blocked arteries. At home, you need to check your feet every single day. Run your hands over them and look for any injuries, color changes, or temperature differences between the 2 feet. Wear well-fitted shoes at all times, even indoors, to protect against injuries you might not feel. A 2021 study in the Preventive Medicine Journal showed that seniors who wore protective footwear inside the house reduced foot injuries by 60% compared to those who went barefoot. Keep blood flowing with daily exercise, even if it is just seated leg movements or gentle walking. Stay on top of the conditions that accelerate circulation problems, mainly high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes, by working closely with your doctor on managing them. And take the tingling seriously. It is not just annoying. It is your nervous system sounding its loudest alarm. Your legs have been talking to you. Maybe through cold toes, maybe through cramps, maybe through that tingling you keep shaking off. The question is whether you are finally ready to listen. Every single sign we covered today is your body trying to protect you, trying to give you a head start before things get worse. The good news is that poor circulation caught early can be managed, treated, and in many cases significantly improved with the right combination of movement, nutrition, and medical support. Do not let pride or habit convince you that these signs are just normal aging. They are not. They are messages, and they deserve a response. If this information was helpful to you, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video like this. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.